How you all doing, guys? Hope you're all doing alright. We're back now with another SUPboarder review, and it's back onto the inflatable iSUP surfing SUPs now, and we're going to look at the Fanatic Stubby Air 8.6. So the brand Fanatic are a well-established brand that have been making windsurfs and SUPs for many years, and they are obviously well respected in the industry, and they make a good quality product. This is the Air Stubby. Obviously it's a copy of their hard stubby board which they have in their range. The specifications for this board: 8.6 long, 29.5 inches wide, it's 4.5 inches thick, comes in at 179 litres in volume, it retails at 849, and this one, when we weighed it, weighed 7.8 kilograms. The materials of this iSUP: drop stitch internal core, as with all iSUPs, with 2 PVC layers on the outer shell, making it very hard and durable. And Fanatic say this board is designed for the travelling SUP surfer among us who wants to put their board in their back and go find some waves far off the beaten track. Moving away from the catalogue bump and onto the SUPboarder impressions. Now straight away, there's a few things you would hear on this video that you probably have already heard on other reviews we have done. We obviously reviewed the Starboard Hypernut Zen 7.8, and we also reviewed the 2016 Red Paddleco Whip. Just for your interest, the 2016 Red Paddleco Whip is the same board as the 2017, except the graphics have changed. Those boards are definitely trying to target the same sort of user that would go out and buy the Fanatic Stubby, so you might hear me cross-referencing a few words that you hear in both videos. So, unpacking the Stubby, the first thing we've noticed, as you might have seen our unpacking and blowing up video, is the board. Personally, from our point of view, it looks absolutely fantastic. All of the graphics printed on top of the iSUP material, and it really does give it an outstanding finish. Whether you like the look of the colour or the colourways themselves, the actual quality of the printing and the screen printing and however they do it is absolutely fantastic, and it does look very classy. The colourways as well, we personally think they work really well with the orange, red and yellow, but it's a personal choice, so we'll let you guys decide on that. First things that we noticed straight away, there's a few things that he did extra that we haven't seen at other brands yet. Little fold here, stickers at the front of the nose, so basically when you roll the board up, you fold it in and then you can carry on rolling from there. Just a very simple thing, really makes the board a bit easier to use, more user friendly. Again, like that idea. Windsurf Attachment hasn't got it on any of the other iSUPs that we're sort of comparing this board to, so you can take this windsurfing. We did not take it windsurfing, but it would be happy putting the kids on the front mucking about for a windsurfer who can already windsurf or is an intermediate level windsurfer. Nice comfy carry handle, thick webbing strap that's not going to go anywhere, full EVA deck pad which is all colourway and look mental, nice kick pad, leashing point and valve all looks good, all their branding and colourways on it as well. Down the side, as I said, all branding, colours, all the logos written down the side, all in good quality. So before we turn the board over and talk about the bottom and what's on the bottom, let's look at the overall template. So it's exactly the same as their hard stubby board with the stubby nose, very parallel outline. It offers a nice amount of stability throughout the whole of the board. The nose obviously has got a bit of width to it, but also because it's a little bit wider than you might see in other iSUPs on the market, there is a bit more stability at the tail compared to those boards as well. Turning the board over and looking at the bottom shape, it has a very small amount of nose rocker and then flat straight towards the tail. It has its black eye fin, sort of indestructible side fins here, which basically you can run over. They are available on a few other iSUPs in different colours, but they are the same fin. And it comes with a nice 15cm centre fin in a US box, which is a really good quality fin, and it's nice to see a nice fin on that. And it's a little bit smaller than other iSUP, comparable iSUPs in the market, so that's a 15cm honeycombed Fanatic fin itself, a very nice fin that fits the board well. US box, so you can move it forward and back. To note, we said it in the unpacking video, there is a bump in the bottom and the middle of the board, and that is because there is a windsurf attachment on the other side. The way they fit that is they have to cut the drop stitch material at the top, so the underneath at this point here, to put the windsurf attachment in, and then whenever you cut that, obviously the nylon threads which go from top to bottom are not touching the bottom, or they're not connecting from top to bottom, which is why you have a slight raised bump bit. Just in case you didn't know. So that is going to be happen. Everybody's board's going to have that, whether you are going windsurfing with it or not. Okay, looking at the bag and the pump now. Now from our point of view, all iSUP bags of the good end brand, the top end brands that say, are just really, really good, and they're all very, very similar. So we can't really sort of say one is better than the other. The Fanatic bag itself here looks great. Top quality material, loads of clips, loads of buckles, pulley, got the wheels, got the backpack, you've got all the sort of stuff you'd expect on the bag. It does look a little bit more stylish than some other brands on the market, I have to say, but as again, that's a personal thing. But you've got your aerated back part there to stop you getting sweaty, backpack handles everywhere. So bag's fantastic, fits the board nice and easily, and I'm a big believer of having these big open zips here, because when you've got your board and you've been surfing on the beach, you're absolutely knackered. You just want to roll it up, put the board in and zip it up and go home. So the bag works well. It's got loads of internal pockets and stuff. So that's the bag. Now the pump, we've seen this style of pump with a few other brands, but there's a few things that we haven't quite seen that they've done on this pump that is very slightly different. It's a two-way pump again, so when you pump in, when you push down, you get the air in, and when you pull up, it pumps air in. But then it also has a switch which you can turn over, which is slightly different that we haven't seen so far, which is a sort of rotating switch there, which says 1 or 2. Obviously, when it's on 1, it just pumps the air down, and when it's on 2, it pumps the air both ways, so 2 ways. Other things that are quite nice on this pump, it's got its own Fanatic branded logo here up on the PSI pressure, and this board has a recommended PSI of 20 PSI, and that is what we pumped it up when we've been using it, and we did our deflection test, which is where you put it on a gap of 1.5 meters apart, and you put 75 kilograms on the center of the board, and you measure how much the board has dropped. This board dropped 20 millimeters, which is a really respectable deflection test for the board. And compared to other boards in the market, which you can see in our other reviews and on SUPboarder Mag, you can see it does stand right up there with the top other end brands. Moving on to performance then, as we do with all our board reviews, let's start off with the flat water, then paddling out, catching a wave, and then surfing in a wave. So flat water, this board has got a good amount of stability, and probably more stability than other equivalent performance iSUP boards on the market. Because of the wider nose, as we said, and the wider tail does offer you that large amount of stability, so on flat water it does feel pretty good. The amount of glide this board has, remember glide is when you're pushing the board forward and the board's moving across the water surface, it has probably the same sort of feel as other equivalent top-end iSUP surfing SUPs on the market. Paddling out over waves, you still got to move your feet back, and you've got to get your weight back and your nose up to punch out of the waves. If you do that, the board does pop over the waves fine, but you've got to trim your footwork forward and back, as with the other sort of boards we've reviewed too. Paddling in on the wave, it has a nice amount of glide, and it is easy to paddle in on the wave. Having the 3 relatively big fins there, it does track easily and it paddles in well, so it really is easier to use for the sort of more intermediate first time SUP surfers out there. So when you're on a wave, the board has a nice, stable, easy feel to it. So what I mean by that is you can pretty much stand on the board and it'll just trim down the line nice and easily. But if you do want to get your body weight back, get your back foot back, put it on the stamp pad, you can feel the board is ready to react and turn into the turns that you want to put it in. It's not the fastest of boards, but then to be honest, compared to other iSUPs, it's probably nothing slower and nothing faster compared to those two. But it does feel pretty stiff underfoot, which again comes back to the deflection test of 20 millimeters. As far as the performance surfing maneuvers go, like top turns and cutbacks and floaters, with the top turn for instance, it does do top turns and it feels like they can be aggressive, but it doesn't lend itself to doing such tight sort of slashier turns as other iSUPs in the market. It's absolutely fine for sort of average top turns and the intermediate beginner SUP surfer doing those sort of maneuvers. It's fine for that, but it doesn't really lend itself to the real aggressive flashy turns. Floaters and re-entries as we call them, or cutbacks, it does all those sort of maneuvers fine. Again, very similar to other top end iSUPs on the market too. So moving on to the negatives or downsides, this board is an A1 perfectly finished iSUP. The only thing again, which we've said in other reviews of different brands, a little bit more nose rocker would be great. It does catch a little bit, as with all the other iSUPs out there, so you have got to be aware of it, but I think if Fanatic could just put a little bit more nose kick in there, it would let you get away with a few more bumps on the wave and make it a bit easier to surf overall. Value for money, it's £849. I do feel it is one of the best looking iSUPs out there, but as we said, it's personal preference. Really good bag, really good pump, as you do get with other iSUPs, but the general package and the look of the board definitely sits value for money, and also the performance as well, alongside compared to other boards, it easily at that price point is value for money. So who do we think this board's best suited for? Well, definitely if you weigh 50 to 85, 90 kilograms, this board will be well suited to you, and you can be more of the beginner, intermediate SUP surfer. Definitely somebody to get yourself and get on some waves, this would be a good board to look at. So the overall SUPboarder verdict, the Fanatic Air Stubby is definitely going to come in with a very respectable 4.5 stars from our point of view. Looks great. The finish is absolutely perfect, and the board rides really well for that intermediate beginner based SUP surfer. Definitely if you want to get yourself an iSUP to get into surfing, this could be a really good board to look at, and definitely one that you can throw in the back of the car. Hope you found this board review interesting and informative, and remember, if you want to find out more about the Fanatic Air Stubby compared to what we think of the Red Whip and the Starboard Hypernut Zen, check out SUPboarder Pro, where we really dial into the differences of the boards. Otherwise, keep an eye on SUPboarder Mag for more great interesting news and features and technique videos, and also subscribe to YouTube to stay up to date with the latest videos too.